What's going on, everyone? So we are getting a lot of reports that the Lakers players hated playing for Darvin Ham. I mean, a lot of reports that the Lakers hated playing for Darvin Ham. Part of it is like the new LeBron interviews that you're seeing. Part of it is that the Lakers are taking on the Milwaukee Bucks, and Darvin Ham is on the Milwaukee Bucks, so it's the first meeting of Darvin Ham and his old team. So, the media is starting to stir some stuff up. But look, there was a clear... maybe hate is a strong word, but there was a clear disconnect. There was a clear distaste for Darvin Ham, as particularly in that second year. His lack of preparation, his lack of adjustments, his lack of play calling, his lack of just kind of understanding and competence out there on the basketball court at times as the head coach. It was a problem, lack of timeouts. I mean, this goes on and on. Right? I mean, there were more times than not where he looked like he didn't even know what to do. Like, he's just out there with his hands in his pockets like, and it's frustrating. And I can understand the frustration from various players. He was constantly throwing guys under the bus, but he was as bad as the players that he's throwing under the bus. Like, it made a mess. And you saw when he got fired, all of the, guys immediately going to X or Twitter, whatever it was at that time, like, and just basically talking negatively about Darvin Ham, not really naming him, but like, okay, it's about Darvin Ham. Even Darvin Ham on his way out, just kind of throwing players on it became a mess. It became a disaster. And it was just one of those things where it was time to go, right? It was time for the divorce to happen. It wasn't going well. It wasn't looking good. This is a team that really feels like they're not that far away. And yes, Darvin Ham, he had good moments. I know as much as people want to say like he's the worst coach ever and blah, blah, he had moments where he looked very competent, right? Lakers got to the conference finals with him, and he was actually a good coach during that run until he ran into Denver, right? Like, you look at that Memphis series. I mean, he was getting praise, and rightfully so. He was very good in that Memphis series, and then even better in that Warriors series. I mean, he was great in that Warriors series. I mean, he was out-coaching Steve Kerr, who was a multi-championship head coach, and, one of the top coaches in the league. And Darvin Ham was Steve Kerr would make an adjustment, Darvin Ham was making it. I don't know if just like he had an out-of-body experience or, Phil Jackson put an ear chip in his ear and was like, hey, dude, do this. Like, I don't know what happened, but he had some real competent moments. And even like the in-season tournament, right? Like, you look at the in-season tournament, there was real game plan, real structure. They were running sets. They were looking good. There were moments where Darvin Ham looked good as a head coach, but they were few and far between, right? Talked about this heavily all last season and briefly during the offseason because, JJ Redick ended up being the head coach. But Darvin Ham, probably have heard me say, like, in a box, right? Darvin Ham only knew what he was taught from Mike Budenholzer. He didn't know anything else. He didn't know how to do other things and take other pieces. And, if he could stay in his box in the Memphis series, in the Warriors series, he was able to stay in that box. Things looked good. Lakers had size advantage. Lakers had skill advantage. Lakers had advantages that fit within the frame, that fit within that scope. And as long as he was able to stay in that, he looked good. He looked great at times. But as soon as he had to get out of that, that's where everything just fell apart. It's where everything just became a disaster because he didn't know how to do anything else, right? With JJ Redick, you're seeing constant change and adjustment. You're seeing, particularly with the offense, you're seeing actions be initiated, plays getting broken up, and immediately moving into other actions. Sometimes actions even stacked on top of each other. Right? In the first game of preseason, they had several broken plays that actually led to positivity because they understood, okay, if we go from here, okay, if this breaks, then we go here. If this breaks, we go here. If this breaks, we go here. Okay, we're in this set. Okay, let's do that. Right? Like, there's clear structure and it's layered. It's not just, I only know how to do this. So as long as we can do this, I'm really good at coaching this. Right? As long as I can stay in this space, I might even be able to get you a championship. But anytime he has to go out, which over the course of a playoff series you need to be able to adjust. You need to be able to make changes. And like JJ Redick has said numerous times, like you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to just throw out the analytics, throw out the game plan, just play on feel of the game, right? He's talked a lot about like being willing to listen, right? He was adamant about getting a staff of diversity in basketball sense, right? Basketball minds, right? Scott Brooks is a very different basketball mind, runs very different offensive, defensive sets and actions than Nate McMillan, right? You even brought in Lindsey Harding, who was a G League coach, who ran some real action, real sets and learned from other coaches, right? Like you have all these different diverse outlooks on the game of basketball. So you have all these different takes, all these different opinions. Some of them mesh well together. Some of them might be a little clunky, but it's fine. You kind of configure and you change things. Yeah. Hey, well, let's go this way. It's not really well. Let's go over here a little bit. Let's get back over here. Oh, we're almost there. Okay, here's the spot, right? We finally found the spot. And that is the beauty of this. Darvin Ham didn't want that diversity. He didn't want the other basketball minds. He wanted to look like he was the smartest guy in the room, and that's a problem. Because if you remember, the Lakers were going to hire other head coaches as his assistant. They wanted to bring in a guy or two, like they did with JJ Redick, that wanted to, or that had the understanding of being a head coach, because Darvin Ham had no head coaching experience. He had assistant coaching experience, chip with Mike Budenholzer, but you wanted that guy, that the other basketball minds that understand and know how this goes, right? Darvin Ham didn't want that. He didn't want he didn't want it to seem it's ego, right? I can do this. I'm gonna get this done. I'm ready to do this. Like I don't need these assistants. Like what do we need those for? I got this. And it ended up being his downfall, where JJ Redick out the gate embraced it. Right? And you see JJ Redick. He's taking plays out of, the Golden State Warriors, the Sacramento Kings, the Denver Nuggets, the Boston Celtics. The first play we ran in preseason was the skip play by Dan Hurley, right out of UConn's playbook, right? Like you're seeing JJ just taking a little bit from everybody, and you have just this entire bench filled with just basketball minds, from even St. Jean to, you look at all these guys, they all understand the ins and outs and intricacies of different play calling, different sets, different actions, right? And JJ Redick's able to be there and delegate and listen and communicate and come up with schemes and come up with game plans and, hey, let's do this, let's do that, right? That is the beauty. But there's preparation. There's execution. There's attention to details. There are little nuances that JJ Redick is obsessed with that Darvin Ham wasn't. There was no nuance with Darvin Ham. There was no preparation. I mean, it's one of the biggest reasons he was fired was his lack of preparation going into games. He defaulted on LeBron and Anthony Davis, right? But then even in the fourth quarters, wouldn't even default to Anthony Davis. Right, but how many times did he sit in the post-game chair and be like, yeah, he's got an idiot coach that needs to get him the ball? Okay, that's great. I'm glad you recognize your incompetence. Are you going to fix that? Oh, no, you're not going to fix it. Okay, so you're just talking now, right? Like, that's the problem. You're seeing the differences. They're blatant. Even if you don't understand the game of basketball from an action standpoint or anything like play calling, any of that stuff. You could just be you could just like watch basketball in your spare time as, fun, right? Like you don't have to know anything. You could go and just pick any Darvin Ham game, pick any one game. You could never watch basketball a day in your life. If I showed you one random Darvin Ham game and I showed you either probably more the Phoenix Suns game because I thought that they just were better. And you got LeBron and AD, so of course it's going to look better. But like even that first game without LeBron and AD, if I just took this and went here, and I took this and went here, you would see the clear differences, right? Like even with the offensive struggles in that game one, there were still clear differences. Guys aren't standing around as much. There's constant movement. Guys are sharing the ball more, right? Even defensively, there's they have a defensive plan that they're putting into place. Guys are attacking high, right? Like you have a coaching staff that is just competent. That if you have guys that have had success outside of this current bench, right? Like Scott Brooks had success. Nate McMillan had success. He was in the conference finals not that long ago, right? Like you have guys that have different outlooks, different perspectives, different takes on offense and defense and all of that. And, you have a guy in JJ Redick who has had multiple coaches that he's picked and plucked things from, and an understanding of the basketball game and the ins and outs and the play calling, and just he has the IQ and he has the basketball mind. Calls timeouts when you need them to be called, right? Like you see that. I mean, even like DiVincenzo goes on hits like 2 straight shots and he's like, nope. Like I've seen this before. This guy's about to go off, right? Like, and it's the little things that could be the difference. And like I've said, if you're somebody that believes Darvin Ham was a big hindrance on the Lakers, then even if JJ Redick is just minimally better than Darvin Ham, that's still going to impact wins, right? Like, again, you can't have it both ways. Either coaching matters to a point where it affects wins and losses, or it doesn't. And if it does, then Darvin Ham affecting wins, JJ should be able to do the same, but in a positive light. And the coach staff. And like I said, take JJ Redick off this coaching staff. Just put him over to the side. Hey, buddy, take a seat for a moment. And then leave Darvin Ham with his coaching staff. The coaching staff minus JJ Redick is better than Darvin Ham plus his coaching staff. I'm talking Nate McMillan, Scott Brooks, right? Lindsey Harding, St. Jean, right? Like you go down the list, and it's better than what you have with Darvin Ham. And so I like the diverse minds. And, practice is funner. It's more upbeat. The vibes are good. That's all we've heard all offseason, how good the vibes are. And look, vibes doesn't necessarily translate to success or championships, right? But vibes do impact wins and losses. You get a team that's all miserable and that can't stand each other, can't stand the head coach, and it's like they don't even want to show up to play basketball. It's a lot different than a team that's like, oh, I love what we're doing here. I love what we're building here. I love this team. I love this coach. Vibes are great. I'm excited. I'm happy to come to work, right? Like, guys are going to play better. They're going to be willing to play harder. They're going to want to play harder. They're going to want to be good for their coach. They're not going to want to let their coach down, right? Like, there's just so many things that it impacts. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? You excited for this season? Do you get why Darvin Ham was despised and JJ Redick is not? What are your opinions? What are your thoughts? What are your takes? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.